Hello and welcome to the Energy Connect studio at India Energy Week 2025. I'm delighted to have sitting next to me in the studio today, Charlie Tan, the CEO of Global Impact Coalition. Charlie, thank you so much for coming down to the Energy Connect studio.
Thank you for having me.
To start off, could you tell us more about the Global Impact Coalition and what is its mandate, who is a part of it as of now?
Yeah, so Global Impact Coalition was essentially formed by some of the largest chemical companies in the world. We're represented with, through our membership base, over $500 billion of annual revenue each year. So it's really a large pull, let's say, from the chemical industry. The focus is really, the chemical industry is a very complex industry. There's many integrated parts of the value chain, from some of the key base chemicals to the intermediaries to the sort of more fine chemicals that go into the daily appliances that we all use and know. So chemical industry actually touches 95% of all manufactured goods worldwide. So it's a really crucial industry actually to society and the economy. When we look at how can we, as the chemical industry, decarbonize, how can we reach circularity goals, net zero goals, it's very important actually that we look at what are the areas where we can go as an industry faster together. What are the areas where we can move the needle at a much quicker pace than any one company would do alone. So the Global Impact Coalition at its core is really an enabling platform, but also really an accelerator for the chemical industry, for the companies within the chemical industry, and also the value chains of the chemical industry to work together at real business opportunities that can drive the sustainability agenda forward.
Now, you spoke about decarbonizing faster, and in order to achieve that, it is essential to collaborate, and also the discussion should lead to action. So what are your thoughts on the collaboration and how can discussion lead to decisive action?
So let me give you a real world example of this. We're here at India Energy Week. India is the fourth largest vehicle manufacturer in the world. If we look at what is a decarbonized car, what is a car that is fully decarbonized, what is the cost of that? Actually, to the end user, to the buyer of this vehicle, it's only around 3% additional price increase. So it's around a $900 increase on around a $35,000 car, which is roughly the average car cost of the car at least in 2030. So why this cost is actually very low. So I would have thought, when I heard this, I thought actually I would imagine this being 20 or 30% increase, but actually it's a very small increase. So why is this not happening? It's not happening because actually if you're an intermediary in that value chain of making the car, whether you're a steel producer or whether you're producing plastic for shampoo bottles, let's say in FMCG industry, that is not your cost. Yeah, so we need to look really at the full supply chain here. The collaboration key to achieve that is actually really, really fundamental, and we're not doing enough currently as it stands. And this is really a bit the mandate and the purpose of the Global Impact Coalition, which is really to team up along the value chain when we look at circular products, when we look at net zero goals for the industry, to team up to really share the knowledge, increase the transparency, and find ways actually to really bring down the cost of sustainable products so that we can have a much broader adoption rate overall.
And what are the kind of challenges, if I may ask, that you anticipate in that journey? And how do you recommend to your members and your coalition sort of partners to overcome those challenges?
So I think some of the core challenges is honestly that it's an industry that's been quite stuck in its ways for a very long time. I think there's an element of trust as well. These companies that founded the Global Impact Coalition, really some of the leading chemical companies in the world, they are also competitors in some way. So there is obviously a lot of questions around IP generation, around antitrust, confidentiality, but we need to think a bit broader than the individual company's objective. We really need to think from an industry perspective here. So when it comes to some of the challenges, building actually a very strong foundation of trust was really key. And actually this took quite a long time, to be honest. Yeah? So we started the Global Impact Coalition around 15 months ago, but we did actually incubate this at the World Economic Forum, obviously a huge, or probably the leading platform for public-private partnerships overall. And this is really where we managed to foster a lot of trust, which now has sort of played out into the openness when we look at okay, what is interesting for the companies, what are the areas where they're willing to collaborate, what are the areas of opportunity that they see which are really crucial to driving their net zero objective, but also that would be a broader benefit for the industry. So I think aligning on the strategic priorities of the companies, making sure that there's that we are able to create trust really within these companies, and then having a very strong governance structure to execute on these business cases. This is really, really key as well.
And although you're at sort of, the infancy of your journey in let's say 15 months, like you said, it's time to incubate. So could you give us some examples, tangible examples of projects that have come out of the coalition?
End-of-life vehicles, so cars that are coming to the end of their life, which is usually around 15, 20-year mark, they're not set up for circularity by nature. So for the metals, maybe a bit more, but the plastic fractions in the car, of which there are more than 50 in any one vehicle, they're not set up for circularity, which means that actually when the car reaches the end of life, when it is scrapped, essentially the plastic fractions are basically put into landfill or they're burnt. This is obviously not environmentally friendly, and this is not a solution that is speaking towards broader sustainability goals. So what we have done at the Global Impact Coalition is we've teamed up with several of the very large companies who between them basically have demand or offtake for all of the different 50 plus plastic fractions in any one vehicle, which then creates a business case which didn't exist before. If any one company was to look at it, who might have interest in 5 or 10% of this plastic fraction. So basically through the power of pulling demand for these plastic fractions, we are now running a pilot. Actually, we're going to announce this properly in a couple of days, to actually run several thousand vehicle collection infrastructure, so working with the sorters, the dismantlers, the original equipment manufacturers, so the car companies, to actually create a viable business case that didn't exist before. And I think this is really a great example of the sorts of commercial but also environmental sustainable projects really that exist within the Global Impact Coalition, which are really, we need a pull from the industry in order to trigger the business case really.
And I think you will get to see a lot of pull from the industry here at India Energy Week. And this is your first time. What are you looking forward to?
So I mean, India it's a fascinating market. It's one of the fastest growing economies in the world. They have a huge chemical production base as well. So it's very important. The G and the I from Global Impact. Yeah, we need to be truly global, and this means also being represented in regions of the world where they have large chemical clusters and where they are integrated into the chemical value chains. India is obviously very, very key for this. So I'm here also from an awareness perspective to build a bit of awareness as to who we are and what our mission is, but also really to get a bit deeper on the ground to the companies, the chemical companies, the value chain partners of the chemical industry in India who are at India Energy Week, to really have these very important conversations as to how can they benefit and also bring value to the Global Impact Coalition.
Charlie, it's been such a pleasure talking to you at the Energy Connect studio. Thank you. Thanks for watching, and you can always get more comprehensive coverage of the energy industry and studio interviews like this at energyconnects.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media, and I'll be back with more studio interviews from India Energy Week. Until then, goodbye.